Hey everybody, it's Amber Key, and you're listening to a Bright Idea podcast, a show where I sit down with entrepreneurs to discuss the aha moments that launch their businesses. Today, if you're listening to this episode, you can listen to it on Spotify, on Apple. You might be in your car. If not, if you decided to watch this on YouTube, you will notice that it is just me today. I know it's a surprise. I don't really do solo episodes. A Bright Idea podcast is all about talking to entrepreneurs and founders and startups about the aha moments that launched their businesses. And we get into, the nitty gritty of starting a business, what the moment was that they pivoted into this career. But today I decided to hop on here and give you guys a little solo episode and a little update. I guess this is sort of like a mid-season update of what's been going on in my life, what's been going on with the podcast, some really exciting things. And so, yeah, if you're listening to this, if you're watching it, strap in. I'm excited. Let's get ready to go. So, starting off, I want to talk about how this season is going. If you've been following along all season, you'll know that a lot of our entrepreneurs and founders that we've had on the show this season are people that are going against the grain. They're disruptors in their industry. I was really fascinated with how people were sort of going out of the box. I thought that a Bright Idea podcast could elevate to the next level if we tell more in-depth stories of people that are taking an idea and flipping it on its head, or taking a concept and flipping it on its head and creating something new. So if you've enjoyed the episode, let us know. We always want to know feedback. I think that helps me find more entrepreneurs out there that you guys would be interested in, but also gives me a chance to really dive in and do more research and just become familiar with business in general. So I would love to know what you guys have thought about our guests so far. And write into me. I'll leave the email address. It's jacksonstreetmediaco@gmail.com. I'll leave that in the description. You can also hit me up on DMs. If you know me and you watch this podcast and you're a friend of mine, you have my number. So text me, call me, do whatever you want. I also want to get into some of the exciting things that have happened since starting season 4. It's been 2 years, so we're always looking to elevate and to grow and do really exciting things. And recently, I was asked to come back to my university where I got my master's degree at American University to speak to a undergrad podcasting class. So shout out to Whitney, who is a friend. I've been a friend for a while. We met when I was in Richmond, where I had my first job in media. Then we both moved to DC. She was actually my professor in grad school. She taught me video journalism. And then fast forward to 3 years from then, she's asking me to speak in front of her class. And when I tell you that it was an honor, and it was also one of the scariest things that I did this year, I have to be totally honest. I'm not somebody that gets super nervous. Like, on a Bright Idea podcast, I talk to people all the time, and I'm the one running the conversation, but it's one-on-one. Also, I'm not really a person that gets shy to meet new people out, but there's something about speaking in public. And it's so funny actually saying that out loud, because I also am in sales. My day job is I am talking to clients all day. I'm talking to new people I've never met, people who have known me for a year now, all the time. So, and I am also presenting information all the time. I am always on. But something about speaking to a class of students about my work was very daunting. And I remember when Whitney reached out to me and was like, hey, I would love for you to come and speak to my class. I'm always somebody that's like, hell yeah, let's do it. And then later on, I'm like, oh my God, what did I just sign up for? And that was exactly That was exactly it. But I will say that what I gained from speaking to this class was more than I could have asked for. Like, yes, it was really awesome to stand in front of a class and sort of like teach in a way, or like give a little seminar of like what I do and how I got into podcasting and how you can too, you know? But really, what I earned from that experience was I learned about myself and about the students and about where we are going with podcasting and where we're going with media and journalism in general. And so I thought it was just quite an honor to be surrounded by such enthusiastic and just really highly intelligent students that were bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, just like I was sitting in those seats a few years ago. And I thought, so to sum it all up, that is why I decided to do a solo episode for you this week. And I'm titling it Lessons I've Learned from Students. This episode is going to be dedicated to the students that I spoke with last week who really got me to thinking and really gave me the idea for this episode. One of the things that I did want to mention was not only did I learn from the students in terms of like their curiosity of what goes into creating a podcast and really building a media brand, but also how, when you've been trained to be a journalist and we have millions of podcasts out there, anyone can really go out and buy a mic and sit in front of a camera and talk to the camera, as we've seen. They don't need a degree or need to be a journalist to do that. But how do you still maintain journalistic integrity and also be truthful and honest about the news that you're delivering and the fact checking and all of the research that goes behind that to put out a good product? It's not just about getting in front of a camera and having your microphone on and delivering a message. Like, anybody can be an influencer, but what is really going to be the differentiator between you and that other person on a podcast and the story that you're telling? So want to get into that. And I thought that this would be great for people that are out there that, the end of the year is approaching, and the end of the year means that people are starting to think about what they want their following year to be. And that could be starting a podcast or starting a business and having a podcasting component. And it seems, before I went in to talk to these students, I was like, oh my God, these kids know everything. They're in a podcasting class. Of course they know how to get a guest. They know how to edit. They know how to conduct an interview. But a lot of people don't. And so I thought that it would be a great way to sort of walk you guys through my approach and how I go from finding a guest to doing an intro interview to then recording the final interview to then editing and promoting and really building a brand and a community and an audience around a bright idea. And so the way that I wanted to do that was by reciting some of the questions that I got when I spoke to this class. And I want to read some of the questions and then kind of go into what I do. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so the first question that I got, and it seemed like such a simple question, but the first question was, how do I find my guests? And I find that to be very interesting because as someone who has so much curiosity and really finds the beauty in every single story, a bright idea has a mission. First and foremost, the mission is to tell the aha moments that launched people's businesses. but it's also to get into the minds of the entrepreneur, not just the story to how they got to their business, but really give insights into the industry and the insight into how you are finding your audience, building your book of business, expanding your business, because entrepreneurship, while it's a buzzword, is really hard to do. And there's not, now we have all of these resources for how to be an entrepreneur, but running a business is very hard. So, first and foremost, I try to find guests that are actually running businesses, not people that just have an idea that started like yesterday. And no offense to anyone that just started yesterday. I mean, shout out to y'all because you went ahead and did it. But I really want somebody that is sort of established. So when I am looking for guests to have on my show, I, of course, go on to social media. I subscribe to the Washington Business Journal, and there's business journals for each city. So find yours, whether it's the Baltimore Business Journal, the New York Business Journal, what have you. I go to those sort of resources. I really put my journalism hat on, and I try to find places that people are that aren't always on the forefront of our brains. So if I'm out at a coffee shop and I see a flyer for something and it's for a local, a local musician that is now teaching classes to young kids and it has this fascinating idea, I'm reaching out to that person on the flyer. I have seen commercials on TV and it's like a hyper local business. I've reached out to people like that. Like I said, social media, word of mouth, referrals. I think by this point, I've now been doing this for like 2 or 3 years. So I have sort of established a presence online and people reach out to me. And so that's really how I find my guests. Another thing that I do, okay, one thing that I want to point out that I do that I'm going to honestly pat myself on the back for this. This isn't a podcast about me. It's more of like the lessons that I can give to you for those who are trying to start a podcast or just curious about starting a business and having a podcasting component to it is I cold call. Like I pick up the phone and I talk to people. And I think that that's sort of like a foreign art. I think we've gotten really used to people that are sliding in people's DMs or needing to have like an in through somebody else. But really, you'd be surprised how much people would love to talk about themselves and also want to bring awareness to their businesses. So a lot of times, if I have a phone number, if I can find the phone number, whether it's on their social media or on their website, or what have you, people don't use phone books anymore, but like wherever you can find a contact, I find it. And I guess sort of I could do another episode on like how I reach out and sort of differentiate myself from all of the other podcasters out there. But really what I lead with is like, I want to know your aha moment. Like you have such a cool idea. And I want to know how you got there. And this show is all about the aha moments that launched your business. And that usually gets me through the door. So how I find my guests, that is how I find my guests. And then I create like a Google Doc, or if you like to use Notion, or if you like pen and paper, then whatever. But that's how I keep track of like all of the people that I reach out to. And one question that I got from one of the students, which was really cool, was what about follow up? What if like you really want somebody on your show, but they haven't followed up or like responded to your emails? Honestly, you have to think about like your big get. Like I think about that all the time. Like I had, for example, this is a perfect example though, but I had Capital City Mambo Sauce on the show a few years ago, and I wanted so badly to have Arsha Jones on my show. I thought she was just like super down to earth, but also creating like this empire of like a condiment sauce, and you see her like everywhere. If you're in the DMV or in the DC area, you can't go anywhere without seeing Mambo sauce, whether that or Capital City Mambo sauce rather, whether you're in the grocery store or you're at a sporting event. Like, she is everywhere, and she's doing it like as this woman that like just had a dream, had a vision, and went for it. And for a while, she was not responding to my emails. Like, I reached out to her via Instagram DMs. I found her on LinkedIn. Like, I emailed her, and finally I found her marketing person, and I reached out to them via LinkedIn, I believe, and I was like, I want to talk to Arsha Jones. So can you like hook it up? And that was really the end. So going like above and beyond, like finding unique ways that you can get to a person. Another way, I always wanted to interview. I love solid core. I don't know if anybody else on this watching this or listening to this podcast is a big like Pilates girl. I love Pilates, specifically solid core. And I was always fascinated with like who is the founder, and who, like, how can I do an interview with solid core? And while Brian Myers is not the founder, he's actually just he's the CEO. After the original owner stepped down in her position. But I met Brian at a networking event where we were both there to watch young entrepreneurs do a pitch competition, and he was the keynote speaker. And he was a hot commodity. Like, everybody wanted to talk to him that day, and I was like, I need to talk to Brian Myers. But I turned for like 2 seconds, I believe. I turned back. He was nowhere to be found. I was like, oh my God, I've ruined my chance. So I went on to LinkedIn and messaged him, told him who I was, also gave like a personal touch. I was like, I listened to your keynote speech today. It was phenomenal. I pointed out like 3 things that I learned. And I was like, I would love to have you on a Bright Idea podcast. I have a podcast about entrepreneurs finding their aha moments, and I would love to have you on the show. And graciously, this man said yes. And I was like, how? He is the CEO of Solid Core. There's only over like 125 plus locations all over this country. How does he have time for little old me? And he found the time. So I say that to say that you just have to go with it. That's how you find your guests. Being unique, being different. The next question that I received from a student was, I'll basically give the gist, but he asked me, how do I put out a product when it's not perfect? And I knew exactly what he was talking about because I was in school once, and I also worked at a news station where we were on deadline, and you don't have time sometimes to put all your bells and whistles on things. It's like, let's go, time's a ticking. And I think sometimes that's true, like time is ticking, so manage your time, put out a good show. But I think sometimes we get in our heads of what it means to be perfect. Like I said, there's a million podcasts out there, so to watch someone else's podcasts rather, and they have really cool sound effects or really awesome transitions, or maybe there's a narration point of it, or there's really cool like sound bites from the interview or Easter eggs that you have to listen to more, whatever it is. Like, it's so easy to get caught up of like, I don't have that in my show. Like, oh my gosh, like, is anyone going to listen to my show if I don't have like really cool like special effects, like sound effects when I'm talking about certain topics? And the answer is, get out of your head. Like, get out of your head, because if you're passionate about it, now let me back up. If you have like random pops in your interview, if your audio is off, if your camera's freezing, the interview's not, don't put it out. Let me repeat that. Don't put it out, because at the end of the day, this is a podcast. So the first thing that people I think you can get away with it like in a YouTube video if everything's not perfect because there's like so many other dynamics. Like you're like looking at someone, you're listening to it. They might have like graphics that go across the screen, so there's like a bit of a distraction. But when you're listening to something, it's so important to have that crisp audio with like limited noise in the background. Don't like so on one end, yeah, that needs to be perfect. But in terms of the content itself, sometimes you'll be surprised. Like, just put it out, just put it out and see where it takes you. And I think the answer to my question, the answer to the young man's question that asked was like, sometimes you just have to put it out and see. Like, that's literally what I said. And it wasn't the best answer. At first, I was like, oh, this is not what he was looking for. But then I thought about it and I was like, no, that's the best answer. Like sometimes you have to put it out and see. Because there have been some guests on this show that I have interviewed and I've been like, I've walked away like, that was not interesting at all. Like I don't know who's going to listen to this. I don't know who's going to watch this. No one's going to subscribe this week. No one's going to call me and tell me they had a good show. And then every single time I surprise myself because someone texts me or calls me or messages me on social media and they're like, you don't understand how good that show was. Like that person was dropping knowledge or like I've always wanted to have an ice cream store. Like that person right there is living my dream. So don't get caught up with trying to be perfect because you'll never be perfect, meaning that you'll never have a product if you sit around and wait on your episode to be the best episode that's ever dropped in the history of episodes. It will never be that. So put your content out and let it speak for itself. All right, now we're on to number 3. Having journalistic integrity. And this is for those people that went to school for journalism, where we were taught to be truthful and to be honest and do your research and fact check and fact check and fact check. This particular topic grinds my gears because for the amount of student loans that I still have to pay back to this school to get my master's degree, and then I sit here and watch people on a mic spewing just unnecessary things that I know they didn't fact check and I know they did not do their research on, and I know that it's not truthful and they are just telling their stories on Instagram calling themselves journalists. I'm sorry, I'm going to make a few people mad. I repeat. The difference between, and I said this to the students, the difference between your podcast and another person's podcast is the journalistic integrity. Period. Having integrity, knowing what's right and what's wrong, and being ethical. And I know that's really hard today, and I won't get into politics on this podcast because we ain't got time for that, and that is too long. That's another episode, and if y'all want me to speak on it, I will later on. But no, for the purposes of this episode today, we're just going to stick to this. And when I say having journalistic integrity, I understand that people that are listening right now not everybody went to school for journalism, but you can still do your research and fact check and be honest and not deliver a story for benefit of yourself. So if somebody says something, and what I mean by that is if somebody says something, not to like spin it for your own benefit. Like, don't spin the story. Don't edit it. I know we have all of these editing platforms and technologies and AI and all the things. No. Don't do that because that's not honest. And people can see right through you, what you're trying to do. And so if you were thinking of starting a podcast if you're thinking of starting a business that has a podcast component, or if you're a student looking to start a passion project and you're concerned that there are so many people out there, why would anyone listen to you? It's because if you deliver honesty and truthfulness and integrity and really a passion and genuine interest in your subject, people will listen to you. So that's number 3. Okay, the next one was, don't be afraid to go down a bit different path. Not every story is going to work out. So I had a student, a woman, a young lady who asked me, like, what do you do if you have somebody on the show and you do an interview and it just like really does not fit? Like, it's not fit. Or if somebody reaches out to you to be on your show and they just don't fit the mission of a Bright Idea podcast, what do you do? Well, as a former people pleaser, I know how difficult it is to say no and how difficult it is to let people down. But at the end of the day, you have to realize that this is your product and this is what you are delivering. And if it does not fulfill the mission, then I'm sorry, but either they have to be on a different podcast or maybe it's just not the fit for that time. It does not mean, like, for example, this season is all about disruptors in their industries. So if somebody reaches out to me and they have a really awesome, like, kick-ass business, but they're not disrupting or going against the grain per se. And I told my audience at the very beginning of the season that we were going to be interviewing disruptors, then I'm sorry, but I have to say, not at this time. Remember, you are the messenger, you are the vessel. So this is your show and you have to deliver on your promise. And so if there's somebody that is just not a fit, that's okay. You could take a different direction. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to say, not at this time. All right, and now, number 5. I loved this question. I didn't even think, okay, the kids were coming out the woodwork with questions. I just chose a few that I thought might be helpful for anybody out there listening today, but this one was really good. It was called, it was asked, do you ever have somebody on the show that is just like really hard to open up and you've tried everything and they're just not giving you what you need to tell a compelling story? Yes. The answer is yes, all the time. All the time. And the question was, how do I make people feel comfortable? Well, I'm a goofball. So I know that this is a business podcast and we're talking about businesses and that can be very serious at times, but I'm not naturally a very serious person. And so I believe what makes people feel comfortable is when I am my authentic self. Like when I present to people and I show up and I'm like, what's up? How was your day? Because mine was crazy. Do you want to hear mine? Okay, first of all, I had to see like 6 clients today. 1 canceled on me. I drove 2 hours all the way to see them. They decided they didn't want to talk to me, so I drove all the way back home. My cat decided he wanted to throw up on my carpet that I just bought, so I had to sit here and scrub up cat throw up before getting on a call with you. So tell me your day. When I go there with people, it disarms them. Not saying that y'all have to like divulge your whole life, but I'm an open book, so that's what I tend to do. But what the point is like being a genuine, like having a genuine personality, having a curiosity. People want to come and they want to talk about themselves. They want to talk about their passions and what their business is. And there's a reason that why they want to talk to you. But as soon as you hit that like record button and the camera's in front of people's faces, like they start clamming up. So what I do is for one, this is example 1, bring out my full personality to let them know that like I'm here to have a good time. I'm not here to like press you or interrogate you or put a gun to your head saying that you have to tell me all your business. Like, no, we're having a good time. That's number one. Number two is I always have like a introduction call with all of my guests before they come onto my show. And the reason that I do that is because it's for them to kind of get to know me, but it's really for me to catch a vibe. Like, I have people that come on the show that are more introverted. I'm not an introvert. So I like can get on the phone with somebody and tell that they're like a little more closed off, or they're a little like shyer, or like they don't divulge a lot of information up front, like, and so that gives me an opportunity to like understand their cadence. So like when I go back and I ask them questions, how can I position the question so that I can get the best answer? And then number three is sometimes in an interview, you have to just like ask the question a few different times. Like if you want to get your answer and someone's not really like giving it to you, um, ask it a few different ways. Like, tell me more about that. Okay, well, when you said this, to me it sounded like this, but can you walk me through like your process a little bit? I just want to make sure I have clarity. Like, always follow up with like, just so that I understand. Can you like, and that really allows people to, first of all, they're like, oh, so she's really interested in what I have to say. And then secondly, it's like, it gives people time to like sit back and think and like maybe like tell their answer in a different way that like you can understand. And the last way that I make people feel comfortable is rapid fire. So if you've listened to any episode of a Bright Idea podcast, you know that at the very beginning of the episode, I do a rapid fire. It's to loosen people up. I used to do it at the end as like a tie up, as like we just did that. Now like let's have some fun. But what I found was, and actually I had a guest on the show that was really nervous, like throughout the podcast. And like I really was inspired by this person, but offline, but I knew that my audience wasn't going to resonate with this person because of how shy they were. So I actually redid the episode. I was like, okay, thank you for like this first bit that we did, but like, can we reschedule? Because I want to give you like a great show. So what I did was I went back and I found new rapid fire questions, and then I asked them at the very beginning of the episode. And what that did was it broke down that wall and that dropped the rope and allowed them to really be themselves. And I like the result was just like 10 times better than the first one. So that was number 5. That's how I make people feel comfortable. And then lastly, it's just a cliche, but like have some fun. Honestly, like this is your product, this is your baby, this is like this it honestly just brings me so much joy. I love coming onto this show. I love giving you guys new people to talk to. I don't really like talking to myself though. Like this is weird, but have fun, because if you're not having fun, then why the hell are you doing it anyway? So that's it. That in closing, this was super inspiring, and I just have to thank Whitney again for the opportunity to come and talk to her students. And I want to leave you with this. So if anybody is out there listening who needs somebody to public speak or share their story, or just be on a panel discussion, I think I'll say yes. I had so much fun. I was terrified of it. And then as soon as I like did my 5 like breathing exercises that I've been trying lately, shout out to Jonathan Marks if you didn't listen to the CDL Academy driving academy show where he like talks about taking 5 deep breaths. Like I really took that to heart. So I took 5 deep breaths before I went on and spoke to these students, and now I'm like ready to like do several speaking engagements. So this is the year of yes, and hit me up if you need me to speak. Love. Um, just a few housekeeping rules. Again, this is a Bright Idea podcast. You can listen to it everywhere that podcasts are available. We are on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple, we're taking new guests, we're taking new sponsorships. If you'd like to sponsor the show directly, you can donate to our Cash App at a Bright Idea podcast. Again, everywhere podcasts are available. Thank you so much for tuning in to this solo episode of a Bright Idea podcast. I didn't know where I was going with this. I was honestly very nervous because I don't like doing solo episodes. I like talking to them. I want to be where the people are, okay? Said Ariel. I want to be, I don't know the rest of that song, but I like talking to the people. I also feel that when I'm solo, I just ramble, I just talk to myself, which is what I do anyway. But so this was cute. Yeah, let me know in the comments if you like this. I was thinking about doing mini episodes where I can kind of dive into a topic where it's how to build business credit, or what to do if you're in this sort of financial situation, or the 5 steps you need to take to start a business. I have no idea. But let me know if you want me to be the expert. I mean, who put me on the mic, truly? But I will do that for y'all if that's what you're interested in. All right. Well, to sum it all up, I have spoken to you now for quite a while. So thank you for listening, and I can't wait for you guys to listen to next week's episode. It's an in-person episode. I had so much fun filming it, and my team is behind the scenes editing the crap out of this episode. It's going to be so good, and it's going to be one of those businesses that you're going to want to support. So tune in next week for next week's podcast. Until next time, I'm Amber Key.